How many times have you awakened with a heavy heart, striving to project an image of strength outwardly, yet feeling utterly vulnerable within? A restless mind, thinly veiled fear, and that silent question, will I find the strength to persevere? If this resonates with you, take a breath, because today you will uncover a path, a spiritual code concealed within ancient words, yet possessing genuine power. Psalm 27. David did not write this psalm to entertain you. He wrote it to awaken you. What if I told you that within it lies the key to unlocking your spiritual courage, overcoming invisible adversaries, and living with active faith, even amidst the throes of battle? The world impels you towards fear, but this psalm beckons you to the light. And Napoleon Hill years later affirmed, "Everything originates in the mind, but it only endures when it is born of the Spirit. So remain until the very end. For while the world clamors that you will not prevail, God whispers, wait on the Lord, He will strengthen your heart, and that strength already resides within you." Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Now tell me, how many times have you felt utterly lost, even when surrounded by people? External darkness is easy to perceive, but what about the inner darkness? The one that screams when no one is listening? It is at that very moment you need to recall, God is your light. Not a magic lamp that extinguishes problems, but a clear bearing amidst the chaos. While the world clamors, God whispers, and those who learn to heed this voice begin to discern what was previously obscured by fear. Transformative light doesn't stem from the absence of struggle, but from the cultivation of spiritual awareness. Mental clarity ensues when your mind ceases its frantic pace and begins to align with what God has already declared about you. Psalm 27 is not merely a source of solace, it is a command. Whom shall I fear? This question is not rhetorical, it is strategic. Commence your day by declaring this, aloud, before a mirror, as one who ignites their own spirit. Faith manifested through action begins thus, with words that take root. Have you ever felt as though everything were crumbling within, even when externally all appeared acceptable? This is the invisible war, and the primary weapon to overcome it is to reside in the divine presence. This transcends mere prayer. It is to breathe God. It is to open the Bible as one would unfold a map. Peruse Psalm 27 and reiterate, "The Lord is my light." When this transforms into your predominant thought, your mind becomes an unassailable spiritual bulwark. Then, not even your internal adversaries will be able to undermine you. Practical faith, indeed, involves declaration, but it is also predicated on action. How so? By commencing the day with a profound stillness of the soul, dedicating 3 minutes with eyes closed and heart surrendered. Subsequently, transcribe what God has revealed to you, even if it appears negligible. This constitutes an act of faith. Desire an illustration? Peruse 2 pages of Think and Grow Rich, then Psalm 27. Compare them. Reflect upon them. Integrate the divine into your daily regimen. This synergy is potent, divine wisdom coupled with a success-oriented mindset. And what if I posited that fear is merely a mental construct capable of being reprogrammed? Faith is fundamentally a decision, not an emotion. Therefore, even when you tremble, elect to declare God's promise. Declare, "The light already resides within me. Now is the moment to allow it to radiate." Your mind serves as your bastion, and a bastion does not flee from conflict. It solidifies its stance within it. You have not been forsaken. You are being meticulously prepared. Every prayer, every pronouncement, every conscious choice is aligning your spirit with its ordained mission. Psalm 27 and Napoleon Hill converge on a pivotal principle, the potency of internal resolve. Hill speaks of faith as a creative catalyst. David illustrates faith as a sanctuary in times of assault. Together, they impart the wisdom that belief without action is but half the journey. The remainder comprises persistence, discipline, and daily incremental actions, faith infused with action, repetition imbued with intention, fear met with confrontation, light amidst the shadows of darkness. Now I pose the question, if the light already resides within, what hinders you from allowing it to guide you? For the next key lies closer than you perceive. It resides within your inner stronghold. Be candid. How often have you sought strength from external sources only to remain internally debilitated? The truth is that spiritual fortitude is not forged through likes, applause, or the acceptance of others. It originates in solitude, flourishes in prayer, and matures through tribulation. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. This is not mere eloquent poetry. It is a strategy for inner warfare. When everything outside falters, the bastion you have erected within sustains you. Now tell me, do you adhere to a regimen of spiritual reinforcement, or do you merely extinguish emotional conflagrations? Practical faith demands discipline. It is not about awaiting a feeling of wellness to seek God's presence. It is about seeking Him precisely because you are weak. This is spiritual valor. It entails gazing into the mirror on a challenging day and declaring, I am strong in the Lord. Not because you feel it, but because you believe it. And faith is a deliberate choice. It is at this juncture that your vibrational identity begins to align with the divine. Adversity serves as the crucible for what you carry within. When pain intensifies, what issues forth from your lips? Complaint or promise? What governs your thoughts, fear or active faith? Rest assured, the battle commences in the mind. Consequently, the practice of mental reprogramming is inherently spiritual. Immerse yourself in renewing verses. Listen to hymns of affirmation. Pen declarations such as, though war may arise, in Him will I trust. This is not mere self-help. It is in alignment with God's divine promise. Do you wish to discern what erodes your inner strength? Neglecting minor choices, slumbering without prayer, subsisting on fear, comparing your journey to that of others. True strength is not gauged by musculature, but by intrinsic decisions. With every no you utter to discouragement, you fortify your spirit. Each time you opt to trust instead of doubt, your roots deepen. God is not seeking perfection. He is cultivating consistency. Have you ever endeavored to supplant fear with biblical truths? It proves efficacious. When fear whispers, you won't succeed, respond with, the Lord is the stronghold of my life. When anxiety threatens to overwhelm, declare, He will strengthen my heart. This is faith in action. This is what Napoleon Hill would term intentional emotional control. It's not about denying the pain. It's about declaring that it no longer holds sway. It's about placing God at the center, not the problem. And consider this, your strength doesn't need to be boisterous. Sometimes it resembles someone who wakes up, prays in silence, gets dressed, faces life even with tears in their eyes, and declares, today, I will not give up. This is spiritual fortitude. This is waiting on the Lord with an attitude of faith. This is living with a victory mindset. It's not the absence of struggle. It's steadfastness in its face. You haven't been forgotten. You are being trained to withstand what once brought you down. So I ask you, what if that inner strength you so ardently seek already resides within, merely awaiting your decision to activate it? Because the next enemy to fall will not come from without. Have you ever realized that your greatest adversaries don't always have a discernible face? They reside within. Doubt, fear, procrastination, that voice whispering, you won't succeed. These are the invisible armies attempting to paralyze those who are called to conquer. But Psalm 27 reminds you, it is they who stumble and fall, and not by chance. but because those who dwell in the presence of God carry a spiritual stronghold that the world cannot comprehend. Now tell me, have you identified what truly hinders you? Or do you continue battling the symptom rather than the root? Often the problem isn't a lack of opportunity, but mental self-sabotage. It's not the absence of a path, but the abundance of fear. What if I showed you that your dominant thought is the steering wheel of your life? Where it turns, you follow. Therefore, mastering your mental state is an integral part of your spiritual routine. Here, faith in action means guarding your thoughts as one would a sacred temple. You can begin with simple yet potent affirmations, such as, "My mind is my fortress," or "I declare that I am in a process of transformation." Repetition isn't ritual, it's reconstruction. One brick at a time, one declaration each morning. And when doubt arises, wield the word as a sword. "The Lord is my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Napoleon Hill spoke of the 6 basic fears: loss, criticism, poverty, ill health, loss of love, and death. And guess what? All these fears feed on the same poison: mental silence. When you fail to confront them, they proliferate. But when you declare, act, write, pray, they retreat. A practical exercise: pen your deepest fears, and alongside each, inscribe a biblical promise that nullifies it. This is not mere devotion. It is an internal war waged with divine strategy. There are days when the battle is so silent you scarcely perceive the extent of your struggle. Yet God sees, God knows. And He has already furnished you with the tools: daily prayer, contemplation of the Lord's beauty, biblical meditation, mental clarity, spiritual awareness. Do not underestimate the potency of 5 minutes of silence with the inner light ablaze within you. This transmutes fear into faith, and active faith expels the nocturnal terror that haunts the mind. You were not created to live captive to your own thoughts. The spirit residing within you transcends any mental sabotage. Now you must choose whether to fortify your stronghold or permit it to be breached by doubt. Every conscious choice, every internal resolve, every small daily action is akin to a stone hurled against unseen adversaries. They will come, but they will stumble, and they will fall. So I ask you, if you already discern who these unseen adversaries are you prepared to wait without yielding? Because sometimes, the greatest testament to faith is not to contend, but to endure. Wait for the Lord, take heart, and He will strengthen your heart. Have you ever observed how waiting inflicts greater pain when God appears to be silent? Yet here is a truth many overlook. Waiting on the Lord is not passive inaction. It is the preparation of the heart. Take heart. This is a command, not a mere suggestion. For as you wait, He fortifies. As you trust, He builds. It is not about passive patience. It is about faith in action. And this alters everything. Now I ask you, what have you been cultivating while you wait? Are you fostering active faith or feeding anxiety? For waiting with purpose demands daily practice. A piece of advice? Instead of inquiring, "Why has this not yet transpired?" declare, "What can I glean today to be prepared when it does?" This is the internal resolve that transforms the period of waiting into fertile ground. It is not a punitive measure, it is preparation. Napoleon Hill posited that every adversity carries within it the seed of an equivalent benefit. The challenge is that, at times, this seed only germinates in the soil of waiting. Practical faith manifests through small daily actions, praying even when weary, giving thanks even without tangible evidence, meditating even when pressed for time. And all this, while God's timing unfolds. Active waiting is a training ground for the forthcoming promise. Does that resonate with you? Because while you are comparing your journey to that of others, God desires to work on your inner being, and the Holy Spirit is not bound by haste, He has purpose. Perhaps what you perceive as delay is, in reality, divine mercy shaping you before its manifestation. Waiting on the Lord also entails accepting that certain blessings only materialize when the heart is prepared to sustain what has been requested. Would you like a practical example? Establish a 10-minute daily spiritual routine. Reading a verse, such as Psalm 27:14, a moment of silence, a heartfelt prayer, a phrase of faith inscribed in a journal. Cultivate this into a habit. For faith coupled with action is precisely this: small, conscious choices that sculpt your vibrational identity even before the blessing has materialized. You are planting, God is watering, and the opportune moment always arrives. Now be candid. Do you genuinely believe God has forsaken you? Or deep down, do you sense you are being prepared? For the truth is this: you have not been abandoned. You are being strengthened in seclusion. And the secret to strength lies not in doing much, but in remaining steadfast. Even when nothing outwardly changes, everything transforms within. This is the enigma of transformative waiting. And amidst this waiting, you discover that intimacy with God surpasses the value of any received promise. For when the heart anchors itself in Him, no tempest can sweep you away. So tell me, if active waiting is the path, why still resist it? Perhaps what your spirit yearns for is precisely this: to dwell in the house of the Lord. Intimacy with God is inner strength, Psalm 27:4. One thing I asked, to dwell in the house of the Lord. Now tell me, when was the last time you sought God's presence merely to be with Him and not to request something? David did not cry out for deliverance. He pleaded to dwell in the house of the Lord. This transcends mere religion. It is spiritual intimacy. It is when the soul finds stillness and chooses to live anchored in God's presence. For it is from this place that inner fortitude originates, not from the strength of one's arm, but from communion with light. Have you ever observed how everything transforms when your mind aligns with the sacred? Mental clarity ignites, anxiety dissipates, and the heart finds refuge. It is what Napoleon Hill would term infinite intelligence. When you connect with the source, your creative mind is unlocked. Would you like an exercise? Rather than commencing your day with news or social media, begin with silence and Psalm 27. Simply that, and observe how your energy shifts. Practical faith is about cultivating a spiritual routine, and it needn't be complex at all. 5 minutes of biblical meditation, a verse transcribed in a notebook, a heartfelt prayer, a playlist of uplifting worship music. These are small daily actions that sustain your vibrational identity and spiritual fortitude. For inner strength doesn't materialize out of thin air. It is cultivated. It is discipline. It is choice. It is daily intimacy with God. While the world rushes on, the wise pause to learn in the temple. And I'm not speaking solely of a church, but of the secret altar that resides within you, that part known only to God. When you contemplate the beauty of the Lord, something reorders itself in the invisible realm. Your mind is reprogrammed. Your mental state is elevated. Your spiritual consciousness awakens. You understand that true strength emanates from the silence of the soul, not from the clamor of life. Want a practical example? Designate a space in your home to be your sacred corner. Place a Bible, a candle, a notebook there. Transform that spot into your spiritual sanctuary. There declare, Lord, this is my house, but it is also your temple. And even on difficult days, return there, if only for 3 minutes. For it is in that place that God restores your strength and reminds you, you have not been forgotten. You are being visited. And it is in this kind of relationship with God that an unwavering trust is born. You no longer depend on circumstances for peace, because dwelling in the divine presence is living anchored to the rock. Fear knocks, but does not enter. Doubt shouts, but does not dominate. Because you are in the secret place, and those who learn to live in this place begin to see miracles where they once only perceived despair. Light in times of darkness becomes constant. So I ask you, what if it is precisely this intimacy with God that is needed to activate your spiritual courage? Because when you learn to hear God's voice in the secret place, no external conflict can silence you within. Psalm 27:3, though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Now be honest. How many times have you felt fear even when knowing God was with you? This doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. But here's the secret. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. When David penned that verse, he wasn't at peace, he was beleaguered. Yet he declared, my heart shall not fear. This is active faith. This is spiritual fortitude in motion. Faith coupled with action is what transmutes paralysis into power. It serves as emotional armor during times of inner strife. Fear will attempt to convince you that you cannot, you do not deserve, you are not capable. But faith arrives and whispers, I am with you. What you choose to heed ultimately defines your path. Napoleon Hill famously stated, faith is the antidote to fear. Therefore, the crucial first step is to ascertain to whom you are granting authority within your mind. Have you ever noticed that moments of profound growth invariably follow acts of courage? Articulating what needs to be said, confronting what you have perpetually shunned, making a formidable decision even while quaking internally. This is acting with faith. This is reposing trust in God's presence even when all appears uncertain. And believe this, every act of spiritual courage unlocks a new portal in the unseen realm. For where there is faith coupled with action, there is supernatural momentum. For a practical illustration, enumerate the 3 actions you know you ought to take but are deferring due to fear. Subsequently, pray over each and declare, though an army should rise against me, in him will I trust. Courage germinates there, on paper, in prayer, in consciousness. And then, act. Make the call, speak the words, write the letter, forgive, recommence. For courage is not an emotion, it is an internal resolve anchored in God's promise. Faith does not obliterate fear, it propels it outward. And what if I told you that fear is merely an invitation to recall who you are in God? Because each time you elect courage, you are reaffirming your vibrational identity. You are declaring to the spiritual realm, I know whose I am, and I know in whom I trust. This unwavering confidence stems from intimacy with God. It flourishes through daily prayer. It is sustained by scriptures that rejuvenate, and it blossoms when you opt to act even without assurances. You need not feel courageous to embody courage. Simply recall the pervasive presence that accompanies you. Simply trust that the light resides within you. Simply repeat until your mind believes, the Lord is the stronghold of my life. When this becomes your dominant thought, even fear learns to retreat. You are not alone. You are being trained to withstand. The battle may be real, but so is the victory. So I ask you, what if living by faith meant precisely this? Choosing courage even amidst chaos. Because the next step doesn't hinge on the absence of fear. It depends on your decision to no longer be governed by it. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Now tell me, how long will you allow fear to dictate your decisions? Because there comes a point where you can no longer outsource responsibility. Either you choose to live by faith, or you will be controlled by doubt. Psalm 27 is not a text for rote memorization. It is a blueprint for inner transformation. When you declare, the Lord is my light, you are not merely praying. You are reprogramming your mind for a new reality. Practical faith is precisely this, a mindset of victory. not spiritual victimhood. It is looking inward and declaring, I choose to live by God's promise. And that includes confronting, renouncing, changing, declaring, writing it on paper, affixing it to the wall, repeating daily, I am guided by the light. In Him, I will trust. Because faith is decision. Faith is creative action. Faith is conscious movement. The light is already within you. Now is the time to let it guide you. Be honest. How many times have you prayed yet remained stagnant? Waited for answers but failed to take action? Faith coupled with action is what unlocks what seemed stalled. It is when you choose to rise, even when weary, to speak, even when uncertain, to try, even when afraid. And that is the turning point when your conscious choice prompts heaven to move in your favor. Active faith attracts supernatural favor, and you can start now. Napoleon Hill taught, everything begins in the mind. But Psalm 27 completes it. Everything is established in the presence of God. When you unite the two, something within you awakens. A kind of spiritual courage that doesn't rely on emotion, but on conviction. And then, my friend, nothing can hold you back. Because you are rooted, aligned, steadfast. You act not impulsively, but with clear purpose. Therefore, do not stop. Declare, share, write, and live what you believe. And what if I told you that writing the phrase, I choose to live by faith, in the comments here is already an act of courage? Because when you share your decision, you seal it in the Spirit. You inspire others. You forge a spiritual alliance with fellow travelers on this path. This is not merely a phrase, it's a pivotal turning point. Faith is dynamic vibrational identity. Faith is your new mode of being. You are not alone. This community is testament to that. We are a people who have chosen to no longer be governed by fear, who wake, pray, declare, falter, and rise again, but do not yield. We are those who, even when encircled, remain fearless. For we know the source of our strength. The Lord is our light, our salvation, our fortress. Thus repeat after me. Wait for the Lord. He will strengthen your heart, and He truly does. I now ask you, if you are already aware that fear cripples you, why not choose once and for all to embrace a life of faith? For when you embrace that choice, everything is transformed. The triumph you anticipate doesn't commence when everything shifts externally. It originates when you choose to believe, even without comprehension. Today you journeyed through Psalm 27 with profound insight, clarity, and truth. And if you've made it this far, it's because something within you already comprehends. Faith is not an escape, but strength. It's not an illusion, but a foundation. And this very foundation is already being restored within you. The time has come to transmute waiting into strength, pain into purpose, and fear into spiritual fortitude. Now, I wish to extend a significant invitation to you. In the comments below, articulate which verse resonated most deeply with your spirit. Proclaim it with conviction. Let this become an act of faith, a hallmark of your identity. And if this message has spoken to you, share it with someone who is also silently contending. You can serve as a beacon in someone's life right now. You are not solitary on this journey. The God of David remains unchanging today. And here, you don't merely receive empty motivation. You receive faith endowed with clarity, wisdom imbued with purpose, and practical guidance. Therefore, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and stay connected with us. This transcends a mere video series. It is an awakening. It is a calling. And your journey is only just commencing.